What's going on, nerds and nerdettes? The DC Metal Nerd here. I'm watching Superman tonight, finally. Read some reviews, listened to some reviews. Not entirely happy with what I've read or what I heard. It seems like it's going to be mid. It seems like it's going to be a little less like what I was hoping for, obviously. I'm trying to keep an open mind because if it's just okay, if it's just fine, and if I have a good time and if it's, fun, kind of fun, not too fun, then, this will be good for like the future of DCU. That being said, some of the reviews that I've read and that I've heard about, it seems like James Gunn did not learn his lesson. He's apparently still not letting us live in the moment of scenes that he feels like he needs to inject some humor and things like that. I'll be the judge of that. I kind of assumed that was going to be the thing because, that's James Gunn's trademark, with Guardians of the Galaxy and all the other movies that he's done, Suicide Squad. So, was kind of expecting that. Some of the things that he was saying in interviews was kind of showing me that maybe that's not exactly how it was going to be, how he's learned his lesson and he's evolved as a filmmaker. But we'll see. Again, very curious as to how much I'm going to not love it. I'm pretty sure, I feel like I'm not going to love it. I think I'm going to just be okay with it. As long as the story is good, it should be fine. A lot of what I'm hearing about the story is that it's a bit rushed, or it feels like, there's not enough time to let scenes breathe, or some characters are not being fleshed out as much as, we would like to see. So we'll see how that goes. And then I'll have a spoiler review out by at least Saturday. Just to kind of get my thoughts out. Hopefully everyone can see the movie by then, and so that way it's not kind of an issue with any spoilers. But stay tuned for that. I would really appreciate if you rock that thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm. Please consider subscribing if you want to hear more about my thoughts and to be kept up with DCU news and updates. Okay, so Superman was kind of awesome. I did not expect that. I was expecting to completely think it was mid. And not at all, not mid at all. I'm going to put up a video soon about my thoughts, non-spoilers, and then my spoilers video by Saturday on the weekend, so that everyone gets a chance to actually finish watching the movie. Holy shit, I want to see it again. This is crazy. I was not expecting that to be that good. Okay, so I just got back from watching Superman 2025, Superman 25, whatever you'd like to call it. Initial first reaction, wow, I did not think I was gonna like this movie, and I really did. Actually, very surprised, pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed this movie. A lot of the reviews that I watched and read said a lot of things about how it was going to be very divisive. It took them a little bit to get into the movie because it's completely different, polar opposite of Zack Snyder. And so with that being said, I initially said, okay, yeah, I'm not going to love this movie. I'm going to go into the expectation that as long as it's good and, even if it's mid, as long as we can get more future DCU projects from this, fine. Superman is my favorite character. And my biggest worry was that there were going to be a lot of jokes and it was going to be kind of like toilet humor, and it wasn't at all. James Gunn did say that he learned a lot from filmmaking and that he sort of evolved and grew up and, wasn't afraid of letting emotions breathe anymore. Some of the reviews did mention that he didn't let some scenes breathe, or didn't allow him, he was afraid to feel for the scenes and things like that. I didn't really notice that much. There were some kind of jokes that were kind of you didn't need them or whatever, but it wasn't really toilet humor like Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy, which I respect and I appreciate a lot because I love this character. This is going to be my non-spoiler review, so I'm going to do my best to kind of talk about it without spoiling anything, but be sure to tune in for my spoiler review that I should have out by Saturday. So that being said, score was beautiful. It does kind of open up in with like this like some text on the screen, sort of like it sort of goes into setting the scene of like what the movie is supposed to be about. It heavily takes inspiration from All-Star Superman in the sense that it is like a day in the life of Superman, a week in the life of Superman and his adventures. A lot of it is him struggling with like who he is and his identity, and like how he feels about how things should be done, you know, which I can appreciate because that is Superman. That is something that is important to the character. David Cornstalk's Superman definitely embraces this character, and he's like unapologetically like corny in a good way, you know. And you know what I really enjoyed about it was the fact that it didn't come off like goofy. It sort of sounded like it was going to be goofy, and like a lot of the clips that we've seen and everything kind of gives off that vibe, but the clips and everything, they did a really good job in not showing too much. Like they did show a lot, because like I kind of saw like how the movie was going to play out, like because I've seen all the clips and all of that, but there was so much in the movie that was not at all from any of the clips that we saw. Like a lot of it was happening in a moment, and I was like, oh, okay, so this wasn't anything like it at all, which I can appreciate, because you know a lot of people, a lot of times what they do is they show too much, and then I know too much.
They knew too much. We know too much.
And then I'm not interested anymore. So I was surprised. I laughed. I didn't want it to be too jokey, and it really wasn't that jokey. And some of the jokes didn't land, but it is what it is, because the story was so good, you know, for the most part. And so it does kind of go into like a lot of what's happening like behind the scenes with Lex and everything. So I'm just gonna kind of go over like the breakout characters. Mr. Terrific, perfect, amazing. Like I want a Mr. Terrific movie or show yesterday. And I think I just saw on Twitter that they're talking about, apparently Gunn is considering doing TV spinoffs for Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen, which is interesting. I would prefer Mr. Terrific movie, of course, but as long as the TV show is good, I'm all down for it. Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, amazing. Like Chef's Kiss, amazing. Like he was honestly way better than I thought he was gonna be. He is perfectly arrogant, but I think he needed to be more of an asshole. Guy Gardner is kind of like really like an asshole. And, you know, not that that was a bad thing, because, you know, I still love the character and he did so many awesome things in this movie. But he definitely needed to be like a little more of an asshole, I think. So, yeah, Guy Gardner was amazing. I can't believe that everyone was talking so much badly about Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. Awesome character. Hawko didn't really have much to do in this movie. Had some pretty cool lines and did some kind of stuff, and you know, I'm very curious to see more of her for sure. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult, such a hater for sure. Like he did really well portraying like this Lex Luthor. He was kind of like his energy, his vibe was like such a hater, and like he really thinks that he's like God's gift to humanity, and a lot of the dialogue and stuff like was really well written, and I was very surprised by that. He did something in this movie that I didn't think that we're gonna go into, like I didn't think he was gonna do, and then they did it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a thing, and that happened, and you know, for the character, that makes complete sense for him to do that. But like I was like, wow, like I can't believe that just happened. And yeah, and it's a good payoff at the end of the movie as well. Like, you know, and it's part of the reasoning as for why Metamorpho does certain things in this movie. Again, this is my non-spoiler review, so I'm not gonna go super into all of it. But yeah, crazy. Like that was wild. Obviously the Pocket Universe is a thing, and it plays more into a lot of the plot of the movie, which I didn't think they were going to do too much about that. Yeah, I'm just pleasantly surprised as to how much I enjoyed the movie. Definitely want to give it like an 8 out of 10. There were not a lot of things in this movie that I didn't like. Like some of the reviews that I saw and that I read or that I watched were like heavily talking about how like they wanted to sit more with the characters and get to know more of the characters. I agree with that, but I feel like it was perfectly like fine. Like everything was wrapped up nicely. There wasn't any like loose ends or anything I was confused about. Definitely some things that I wanted to sit more with. Definitely wanted to sit more with some characters in the movie. But, you know, release the James Gunn cut. I don't know, that might be a thing. I would love to see another longer version of James Gunn's Superman. So that'd be really cool. David Corenswet Superman, like, wow. Definitely embraced the character, embodied him very well. There was like a triple identity thing going on where he like acts a certain way as Clark Kent, as Superman, and as this third persona, which is like people who know who he is as both Superman and Clark Kent. And he did a really good job with that. The dialogue was really well written. He definitely struggles with like who he is and you know what he wants to do and how he wants to do things, and he doesn't think that any life is too small or insignificant for him to save. And you know, there are certain characters in the movie who don't necessarily agree with how he's doing that, and I would have liked to see more of that. So that's really cool, and that's definitely, you know, what Superman is. So definitely love that. And this world that we were introduced to, like, it's going to be, it's set now for every other character in the DC universe. So I really want Superman to make the numbers that it needs to make for it to continue giving us these characters and giving us this world. I'm very, very excited to see the rest of it. It's gonna be pretty dope, I think. Lois Lane, beautiful, amazing. Like, she really is one of the best Lois Lanes. It's crazy how great she was. There was like a thing in the trailers and the clips and stuff where you see her like you know, driving Mr. T's.
I'm pitiful.
Mr. Terrific's ride, I forget what it's called, but it's crazy because like when you watch the movie, it's a throwaway line like super quick that he mentions like how to drive it, and like she learns it quick and then that's it, and it makes sense for her to know how to drive it. Like that's totally something Lois would do. Like, she is that character. She plays that character really well. All the performances were pretty awesome, pretty dope. Even like some of the stuff with Crypto, like, I hate that dog. Like, I think it's the worst design for Crypto, but like, it wasn't used in a way that was like, you know, where it killed the story for me or anything like that. And so it was fine. That's another thing too, like, a lot of like the CGI, the terrible VFX and stuff, like it's super quick. Like it's not like in your face and too long, so where you're like, okay, this looks terrible. So it's almost like in Man of Steel, like when it's like when they're having that fight in Smallville when he's fighting Fiora, where like it goes from like digi-double, rubbery, then quick to live action. It was kind of like that, like, and it, even though like what's interesting is like the clips and everything that we've seen have looked terrible. And then when you're watching the movie, it like doesn't even really matter because like you're engaged and the movie's like pretty good, like that story is good. So like you can forgive it, you know what I mean? It's not like like the heavy CGI in certain scenes are actually really good. And so you don't notice the bad ones as much as you would like if it was like throughout the whole movie. And I said this before and about like the suit. That suit is terrible and it's so baggy and it's like the worst thing ever, but like I can forgive it because the story was good, the plot was good, it made me feel. There was so much heart and humor in this movie, well written dialogue, like all of that stuff. Like I can forgive things like the VFX when it was terrible, and like the suit, and like some of the jokes that didn't always land. But yeah, like I have been like one of the biggest haters of James Gunn and like his toilet humor. So I'm eating my words. Like I didn't expect it to be this good, and I really enjoyed it for sure, 100%. Like it's really good, and I really wanted to. I want to go see it again, and I'm excited to see like the future and how everything's gonna go. But yeah, eating my words. I 100% was wrong about Superman being as bad as I thought it was gonna be, and I'm glad that I was wrong because now I'm more excited for the future of the DCU. So. Yeah, with that being said, I'll have more to say in my spoiler review. I would really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up, as it will help the algorithm. Stay tuned to the DC Metal Nerd for more DCU news and updates. I'll have that spoiler review up by Saturday, hopefully. I'm kind of waiting for everyone to finish watching the movie. I also posted my initial first reaction straight out of the theater, so take a look at that on my channel. And yeah, What did you think? If you have any thoughts or if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. But please try to keep it non-spoilers because there are people who haven't seen the movie quite yet. But hit me up on Twitter and we can talk about it. I would love to hear from all you guys. With that being said, thanks for stopping by and keep it heavy, stay nerdy.